All right, I think we are good to go. Welcome everyone to Traveling Post-COVID. Where will you go next? This is our third in a series of travel webinars that we're bringing to you. Thank you and welcome, and thank you for joining us today. This webinar is being held in partnership with our two travel partners. We have AHI Travel, who has been a travel partner with us for 25 years. And we also have Contiki with us today. They've been managing our senior trips for the last 4 years and now offering trips for both students and young alumni. You can always follow our trips by visiting our travel page at engage.alumni.uci.edu/travel. We'll put that URL in the chat for you. Just want to mention a couple of housekeeping items for you. Everybody will be muted so that we can eliminate any background noise and interference. If you have questions, and we hope you do have some good questions for our panelists today, use the Q&A function to submit questions, and we'll field those at the end of the program. We'll leave plenty of time for Q&A. We always get some great Q&A from the audience. And we're going to have fun like we always do in these travel webinars. We're going to have 4 poll questions and Anteater travel trivia with the opportunity to win some really cool swag. So be on the alert for our poll questions and then be ready for travel, Anteater travel trivia. And speaking of poll questions, we're going to put up our first poll question right now. So looking forward to getting your feedback on our questions today. So here we go. Which of the best or below best describes you? All right. Looks like we have a lot of alumni in the range 36 to 55. And then 56 plus. Ooh, it's closing. And it looks like we've got 2 responses left. Just waiting on 2 more of you to let us know who you are. All right. All right, so 41% of you are between 36 and 55 years of age, followed by the 56 plus category. So thank you very much. All right, we are going to get started. I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Ian Kynor from Contiki. And again, Contiki has been managing our senior trips for the last 4 years. And exciting news, they now offer trips for both students and young alumni. So Ian, tell us what's going on with Contiki these days and what's going on in what you see in the post-COVID travel world.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, thank you very much. It's always great to be joining you. I love presenting with the Anteater community. And it's always great to join Mike and just share our passion and excitement for travel with everybody that we can. And looking at the polling, it looks like the Contiki audience is kind of in the minority of the group today, which is perfectly fine. It's, the second best thing to actually traveling is talking about travel. But yeah, for those of you who may not be completely familiar with Contiki, I'll give you just a quick rundown of who we are and what we do. So as Chris mentioned, we've been honored to provide the senior trip, that grad trip, as well as now travel for students and young alumni to points all over the globe. We have trips to every continent except Antarctica, and we will get to that one soon. Like many of you, we are clamoring to get back out on the road and travel and visit some of the destinations and places that we want to go. And I've got a few cool things that I get to share with you as we go through the first part of this presentation. But first, I just want to share with everybody the trips that we do have for UCI, for that Anteater community, whether you're a student, a graduate, or a young alumni. All of them are scheduled for later on this summer, so the end of July, early August. So lots of things are changing. Every day seems to bring something different as it relates to COVID and how travel is coming back and vaccinations and so on. We're in April now. We've got a long way to go for August and are looking forward to running those trips. We've got 3 great ones. We've got a European itinerary that goes from London down through Germany and Austria to the beautiful Venice, which is where I am virtually today on the beautiful island of Burano, back up through and ending in Paris. We have a great southern Thailand itinerary. Get to take in the metropolis of Bangkok and all of it has to offer. My personal favorites are some of the street food. I don't know if anybody has queasy stomachs, but I'm an adventurous eater. So the water bugs and the scorpions and the tarantulas are a favorite of mine. And then carrying on down to those beaches in Thailand. And then last but not least is an absolutely amazing itinerary to Egypt. And I'll just, I think Egypt, you get a vision of the icons of what Egypt and what you're going to see and do. One of the most legendary things in Egypt that we have is actually our trip manager. Sharif has been leading our Egypt trips for the better part of a decade. He's a certified Egyptologist and is absolutely incredible. When we have our post-trip surveys, typically, this is the land of the Sphinx and the pyramids and Tutankhamun's tomb, and we ask our travelers what the most amazing part of their trip was, and it's always Sharif. He's just a legend in Egypt, and we're honored to have him, and we hope to have some of that feedback from anteaters on those trips. I've got 2 other quick things that I want to share. Of course, we are still in a COVID travel world, so I'm going to click over to a video in just a minute that's going to share the video specifically for Contiki, but it really shares what the travel industry as a whole has been doing to look after well-being as we resume travel. And then I've got a really, really exciting announcement to make right after that that's really timely and appropriate. So if you'll bear with me just 1 second, I'm going to click into my screen share here. And just a quick 2-minute video. You should have sound and video, and it should come through okay. We'll keep our fingers crossed for everybody, but here we go.
When you're ready to travel again, we're ready to welcome you back. We've been busy putting hygiene protocols in place to ensure our travelers' safety is our #1 priority. New and improved ways to book and travel with Contiki with peace of mind every step of the way. Our travel health starts with our pre-trip contactless communication and travel declaration forms, ensuring travelers are ready for travel. Don't stress. Our flexibility promise lets you adjust your dates, trip, or even cancel up to 30 days before departure without incurring fees. Our awesome trip managers have taken dedicated training to ensure all travel health measures are in place. They make all the bookings in advance, so no lines, no crowds, and no stress. Your trip manager will be by your side throughout your trip to make quick adjustments if required, ensuring you have a brilliant time. Along with your expert trip manager, our 24/7 support team is always available. Social distancing requirements, face masks, disinfected coaches, and extra PPE will all be provided so we can be sure our travelers are staying clean and healthy. No need to be. Our epic overnight stays are complete with local COVID standards so you can sleep with 0 worries. Your fellow Contiki travelers will double up as your travel bubble and the ultimate squad to enjoy the most incredible experiences and safe travels with. Whether you're hiking in the Cinque Terre, making chapatis in Delhi, or seeing the sights of Rome, you'll have your Contiki trip manager and new friends to create all of those unforgettable experiences and lifelong memories with. We've been working hard on our COVID-19 travel protocols to put your mind at ease when you travel with us. So all you need to focus on is having the time of your life. Let's make every moment count. Contiki, travel together.
All right. I hope that video came through for everybody. I'll pause here for just a second to make sure we had a great relationship and partnership with UC Irvine, and everybody who books, take down that Anteater's code and make sure you get that additional $100 off. And I'll stop sharing there. So now, now's the time everybody's hopefully looking to travel, whether it be in 2021 or 2022, whatever you're comfortable with. Of course, we do still have those 3 trips with a little availability left for later on this summer, and we hope to have you join us and use that Anteater's code. And I promised a really exciting announcement. So one of the things I guess I should have started off with is today's Earth Day. So happy Earth Day, everybody. I know kind of across the board, sustainability and responsible tourism is something that's important to everybody that I know is on this call, all of our hosts, certainly with Mike and Contiki and myself. Sustainability and the way we travel responsibly is key to what we do and being good stewards of the destinations we visit. And Contiki Cares has been our initiative to support the people, planet, and wildlife of the destinations that we visit. And I'm going to put a link in the chat in just a minute so everybody can kind of take a look at what we're doing. But as of today, I'm super excited to be able to share that as of January 1, 2022, Contiki will operate fully carbon neutral, which is just a super exciting thing to be able to share on Earth Day. So through our 5-point plan, through a number of initiatives, our operations, our properties, our offices, and the trips themselves will all be operating as carbon neutral, which is exciting. It's been a long process to identify and be able to do what we need to do there, from using renewable energy into our properties or using entirely renewable energy into our properties. Also identifying projects where we can support carbon capture and natural carbon capture in the environment, as well as, for some things that, there's just some emissions that are going to be part of any trip, and how we can use carbon credits and offset to capture that output from those travels. So as of next year, all of you who travel with us can be rest assured that you'll have that carbon neutrality, which is just really cool. It's nice to be able to say something like that on Earth Day. So I'm glad to be able to share that with you. And it's super exciting because you're the first ones I've been able to tell. So the folks on here are the first ones here. And that's, I think, about it for me. I know we're going to have lots of Q&A towards the end, and we'll have I know I'll be back with you in just a little bit as we get into some fun and some trivia. But now I will absolutely hand it over to Chris, and then on to Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Great video, and thank you for that super announcement on Earth Day about going carbon neutral. So that's fantastic news, and how appropriate on a day like today. So one other thing you might want to point out, Ian, to the audience, I know we may have a few students out there, and you might want to mention how we're also working on putting together some trips in the future for our various breaks. So our fall break, winter break, going into spring. So really expanding what we've been doing with Contiki beyond the senior trips. And so the goal is to offer students and young alumni trips year-round that they can take advantage of.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thank you for raising that, Chris. Absolutely, looking at every opportunity that that UCI community has to travel, whether you're a student and you have those appropriate breaks, or you're a recent graduate and you're working and you have some time off and you want to maximize maybe that week of vacation that you have and you want to fully maximize it. We want to be able to provide that for you and keep that Anteater community. Overall Contiki fan, and just share the world with you.
Yeah, thank you, Ian. So what I'd like to do next, before we introduce Mike and AHI Travel, is to put up our next poll question. So poll question number 2. So everybody get ready. We'd love to hear your feedback on this one. And here it is. During the past year, where did you get the majority of your travel inspiration? So this is actually multiple choice. So was it Facebook? Was it Instagram, Twitter, email? Did you receive a travel brochure in the mail? Or was it something else? And we'd love to know what that something else is. A lot of Instagram so far. email coming up, ooh, Facebook closing, and a lot of other too. So we'll be interested to see what those responses are. It looks like we've got about 10 more people to vote. So we'd love to get the rest of you to at least give us a little bit of info on your travel inspiration and where that came from or is coming from. All right, we're closing in 81%, 84. We're inching towards the finish line. Come on, you last 5 people. All right, so it looks like we are at, well, we'll close the poll and we'll show you what the results look like. We'll give everybody just a couple more seconds. Those last 5 stragglers. All right, here we go. So you can see that Instagram is the leader here, but we also have a lot of you still rely on email and in the comments. So if you could just note in the chat where you're getting your inspiration from, we'd love to see that. Facebook as well. All right, YouTube, internet searches, fantastic. All right, thank you all. Okay, so now next up, and by the way, somebody in the chat wrote, why is the emphasis on the young crowd? It seems the crowd is a bit older, students and young alumni. Well, I've got great news for you. We have travel for all of our alumni. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our travel partner, AHI Travel. They have been our travel partner for the last 25 years, and they cater to our 55 and up crowd. And Mike Hall, who is the vice president at AHI, he has been with us for what, like 20 years, I think you said?
Yeah, I would say 20 of those 25 years I've been calling on you directly for AHI. That's correct, yes.
So AHI, again, has been putting together some fabulous trips over the past 25 years for our Anteaters. So I'm going to let Mike tell you all about AHI and get you excited about doing some travel here in the not so distant future. Mike, take it away.
Great, thank you, Chris, and thanks to everybody that has joined today for attending. It's much appreciated. As Chris said, my name is Mike Hull. I've been involved in alumni travel since 1988, so for 33 years. Of course, times are very different now than they have been for 32 of those 33 years. But I'm currently serving as VP of Sales for AHI Travel, and kind of my plan here today is to discuss a bit about the current state of international travel for Americans as we see it as an alumni travel tour supplier. We'll discuss ways that AHI is responding to that. And then I'll take a little time to talk about the trips that we are offering. And as Chris said, the alumni that tend to participate in our trips are kind of 50, 55 years of age and above. And so we'll talk a little bit about some trips. I've got some slides to share with you as well. So we'll put some nice visuals to go along with that also. So let me share my screen here. Very good. So starting, probably the first place to start is to introduce AHI for any of you that are not familiar with us. So we're a group tour operator specializing in educational cultural tours worldwide, and we are specifically working with university alumni associations. Established in 1962 as Alumni Holidays, Inc., family owned and operated, headquartered in Chicago, and we're honored to be a UCI alumni travel partner, of course. The AHI tours are designed exclusively for the Alumni Association travel. They are not available through the general marketplace. And as I mentioned before, they're cultural and educational experiences featuring university professors, local experts. We have lots of hands-on activities. They're led by professional travel directors and local guides, and we offer a number of our trips with no single supplement on them, which many of the solo travelers are very happy about. So let's talk a little bit about the current state of travel, because it is very different now than it has been for many years. Good news is the CDC has advised that travel is safe for fully vaccinated travelers. And as more and more Americans get vaccinated, it's really allowing domestic travel to open up nicely, of course, with local health protocols in place. But domestic travel is starting to get rolling again, which is great for all the local destinations, hotels, et cetera. International travel is also opening up kind of country by country slowly for American travelers, but still is quite limited, unfortunately. But more and more countries are announcing the fact that they're going to be opening up. Greece says that they're going to be opening to American travelers in May. Israel is coming close. Iceland is open now. So it's coming along just very slowly. The other key point, and this goes for Contiki as well, one of the benefits to traveling with your alumni association, with a tour operator like AHI or Contiki, is that we're going to help you manage through all the requirements that are needed to travel abroad. Because every country is going to be a little bit different. What's going to be required? Do I have to be vaccinated or not, et cetera? We're going to help you manage that, and also help you manage the requirements for getting back into the U.S. Once you leave the country as well. So that's a big benefit of traveling with a tour operator. So what has AHI been doing to respond to the new normal in travel? Ian showed a very nice video there that summarizes some of these same things. But just to summarize what AHI has been doing, first of all, on our land journeys, we've reduced our group sizes to be a maximum of 24 travelers, no more. The purpose for this is that it allows for social distancing throughout the tour, on the motor coach, in the restaurants that we go to, at the sites that we're visiting, etc. We also, for our river journeys, where we charter river vessels, we're limiting the capacity for all the same reasons at about 75% of full capacity. Again, to allow for social distancing in the lounge, in the restaurant, other public areas, and break the groups into smaller groups when we get off the ship to go on excursions as well. All of our travel directors have gone through special training for operating trips in a COVID environment. We've developed health requirements that all of our hotels, motor coach companies, river cruise lines, et cetera, all need to follow. The good news here is we've heard back from all of them. They're more than happy to follow these requirements. And many of them even came back with a list of things that they're going to do over and above our list to make sure that travel is healthy and safe at their destination. We've adapted all of our pre-trip materials to help prepare you for what to expect on each tour. And the new addition for trips going forward is that we're going to include the medical coverage for all travelers. This has usually been an optional insurance in the past, but we want to provide that to everybody as part of the trip price. So it comes with medical insurance coverage for you overseas, as well as emergency evacuation as well. So that's a nice peace of mind, a little additional peace of mind there. So that's what we're doing to make the trips nice and safe. Well, what are the destinations that we're going to be offering? And I'm going to focus on the 2022 trips, primarily because many of the bookings that we're getting now, and we are getting bookings every day on future trips, are for trips in 2022 and beyond. And I'll start with our land journeys. We have 8 total trips together. 6 of them are land journeys. 2 of them are river cruise journeys. The first one is a trip to the Basque Country, staying 7 nights in the town of San Sebastian. And that photo that you see in the upper right-hand corner there, that is an aerial view of San Sebastian, right on the sea. The hotel sits right there on the beach, so very nicely located. And from your home there in San Sebastian, where you unpack once, settle in, you'll explore the Basque Country in northern Spain and France. We have then also a trip to Italy, to the boot heel area of Italy on the Adriatic side of the boot, but in the boot heel in the Apulia region, more off the beaten track area of Italy, kind of the undiscovered Italy, as it says. And this also is an unpack once, settle in trip for 7 nights in the town of Polignano al Mare. This will take place in the fall. And then a closer to home domestic trip option to Alaska in August, which I'm going to highlight that one and spend a little bit more time on that one in just a minute. So we'll come back to that one. We also have some trips to a bit more exotic destinations. One of those down to Southern Africa, a trip in January to South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Namibia with stays in Cape Town, the Thorny Bush Game Reserve, Rovos Rail, which is kind of an Orient Express experience for a couple nights, and then stay up in Victoria Falls as well. We have Egypt. So there is a young alumni opportunity for Egypt through Contiki. There's another one for other alumni. We call it our Legends of the Nile, with time in Cairo, Luxor, and on the Nile cruise in March. And then a nice trip up into the Scandinavia region, Nordic Magnificence, we call it, to Denmark and Norway, with time in Copenhagen, Oslo, and Bergen. And that'll take place in the summer in July. And these are all 2022 trips again. I mentioned that we'll spend a little bit of time on Alaska. Alaska consists of 5 total nights in Anchorage, where you explore out along the coast, and then 2 nights in Denali, which is in the interior of Alaska, to see some of the beautiful scenery there. But this trip is all about glaciers, beautiful scenery. This is taken near Mount McKinley. This one's taken near Prince William Sound. This one is in Denali National Park, so you can see wide open space, beautiful scenery. This one's also about wildlife, moose, bald eagles, see lots of them. And water animals as well, whales, for example. And these are all animals that you'll see and get to take pictures of. We'll visit some towns in Anchorage. This is Whittier, Alaska. And of course, part of your nights will be staying in Anchorage. And you can see here, you don't have to go very far from the city to find the wildlife. Here's a moose with Anchorage in the background. One of the other highlights is to take a train ride from Anchorage to Denali, where you'll be doing some safari type experience in Denali National Park. And as you can see from this photo, it's a glass domed train. So it's a great way to see the scenery and the interior of Alaska as you travel from Anchorage to Denali National Park. So that's Alaska, a nice domestic opportunity for you in the summer next year. We also have 2 river journey programs. For our river journeys, we exclusively charter the vessels. And we're gonna have one to Eastern Europe, which is a cruise along the Danube River. It also includes hotel nights in Sofia, Bulgaria on one end, and Prague, Czech Republic on the other. When it's all said and done, you've cruised through 8 different countries of Eastern Europe without all the packing and unpacking that it would take to do that. That's one of the beauties of the river cruise programs. And this will be in October of 2022. And then in the springtime, we're going to go to Holland and Belgium, where all the flowers are in bloom. And I'm going to spend a few more minutes exploring that one with you. So the Dutch Waterways program in April, in the height of the blooming flowers, tulips in particular. And both of these river cruises, by the way, offer the no single supplement that I mentioned earlier. This will be your home for your 7-night cruise between Amsterdam and Antwerp, built in 2018. And you can see it will hold 162 passengers in 81 cabins, but we're going to limit the capacity at 120 passengers for all the reasons that I talked about earlier on the UCI sailing. But you'll begin in Amsterdam, a city of bicycles, canals, outdoor cafes. You'll visit Keukenhof Gardens while you're there. This is acres of a park that is all laid out exactly like you see here, with lots of flowers, beauty. You can get lost just exploring the beauty in this gardens. And by the way, in 2022, when this trip will take place, there is a exposition, a flower and plant exposition taking place that only takes place once every decade. It's called the Floriade, and that will be taking place, and you will get a chance to visit the exposition while you're there. You'll visit towns like Giethoorn, and you're on the road in Giethoorn. There are no cars, there are no roads in Giethoorn. This is how you get around on the canals from one place to another, including farmers with cattle on their little boat. You'll visit The Hague of international fame, visit charming towns like Middelburg and Bruges, Antwerp, and the inset photo up in the right corner, that's of the Delft pottery, the Delft pottery factory that you would visit there. And then you would end up in Antwerp before you would then eventually go out to Brussels and take your flight home from Brussels. So a highlight of Alaska, a highlight of Holland and Belgium for 2022. This fall, we still do have trips available in 2021. Croatia is one of those. That is a country that is open to American travelers right now if you're vaccinated. The southwest of France, staying 7 nights in Albi. You've got Israel, another country that's about to open for American travelers. Italy for the Amalfi Coast, a Chile program to the Lake District in Patagonia, and then a trip to Cuba in December. And that group size is only 12, a maximum of 12 people. So hopefully we've inspired you a little bit with some travel ideas. If you want more details on any of these programs, the website address that you see there, www.calirv@ahitravel.com, that is a place that you can go and get much more detailed information on any of these. So that is what I had to share, and I'll turn it back to Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And to both Mike and Ian, thank you so much I know we are all just so antsy to pull the trigger and book something, right? We're all looking forward to it. You've both inspired us on some destinations, and just the fact that you're running trips and how you're taking precautions and reducing group sizes and all the sanitation and everything that's necessary to feel safe about travel. I'm sure there's going to be some really good questions, and while we're here with our experts, we encourage the audience to start putting your questions into the Q&A so that in a few minutes we can take those and give you some very detailed answers to what you're thinking of or what you might be concerned about. So while we're doing that, we're going to put up our third poll question, and then we're going to get into one of our favorite parts of these talks, Anteater travel trivia. Okay, now that you've kind of heard some opportunities and possibilities, which destinations would you be most interested in traveling either this year or next? So please give us your thoughts on that. And fantastic. We are a lot of Europe, of course, a lot of Europe. Both Ian and I have Europe in our backgrounds. So a couple of those destinations maybe. We've got Mexico and the Caribbean, Asia, South Pacific, also coming up strongly. Okay, we've got almost everybody, just a few more people. We'll give you a few more seconds. And great, thank you. We're getting questions in the chat and the Q&A. So thank you for all of your questions. No question too small. All right, looks like we're almost there. So Just a couple more seconds if you haven't voted. All right, Nora, I think we can end the polling. It looks like we've got most everybody. So far and away, Europe. Not surprising. I think we usually get a really strong showing in Europe, but for Europe, I should say, but Asia and the South Pacific, Mexico and the Caribbean, very low domestic US. So most of you are thinking about let's get out of the US, right? I know I am. So thank you for your answers on that. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Ian. You're going to want to pay close attention. There's some really cool swag available here for our Anteater travel trivia. So Ian, take it away.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Chris. So I'm going to share with you real quickly get this going. So the way the trivia is going to work, let me just get this presentation up. Hopefully everybody can see it. Chris or Nora, if anything difficulties coming through, then go ahead and let me know, but hopefully we're good to go. I'm not going to be able to see any Q&A and chat for just a little while we're doing this. So I'll ask Nora and Chris to chime in if we need to pause or if anything comes up. But here's how this is going to work. Everybody needs, and hopefully has at the ready, a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a big piece of paper, a little slip of paper, even the back of a receipt. If you've been to CVS recently, that's going to be a little bit too long of a receipt, but you can work with that. Pencil or pen, just something to write with. You can even key it into your phone's notepad if you want. What we're going to do is we're going to show you 10 clues. These could be just actual word clues, or it could be a image of a location or an icon. And we're going to want you to just answer the question, answer the clue, or name the icon or the destination. And you're going to do all of this on your piece of paper, so you don't need to put anything into chat or Q&A. And we're going to play fair because we are using the honor system. You're all Anteaters. We trust you. We know you're going to, if you get the right answer, you're going to count it right. If you get the wrong answer, well, you're going to learn something along the way. And then at the end, we'll tally everybody. We'll ask to see who had the best score. You can raise your hand or put your name in chat, and then there will be a follow-up with a prize. And just in case, if you have been on with either Mike or myself in the past, or you visited the travel page of the UC Irvine alumni travel site, you may have a heads up because you would have seen some of the destinations and some of the locations. And if you were paying attention at any point during the presentation today, there were lots of hints in there because every clue is about a destination that you can travel to with either AHI or Contiki. So let's jump in to the very first clue. Which type of pasta directly translates to little worms? So just on your piece of paper, if you know that answer, write it down. Get you thinking about Italy and all the delicious treats. One of the things that I love, and I learned this just in my travels, I wasn't aware that pasta shapes are very regional in Italy. So different parts of Italy will use or have different pasta shapes. So write that down on your piece of paper. We'll move on to the next one. So that's a close-up image of a pretty famous world icon. We'll see if any of you can name what that structure is. I don't want to give too many hints on this one because I think any hint that I might give, you might figure it out too easily. Okay, so just write down in your piece of paper what that structure is called. All right, now on to the third one. I love this one. This became the national dish of Thailand due to a rice shortage during World War II. So who knows what the national dish of Thailand is, but only due to a rice shortage during World War II. You can go ahead and write that down on your piece of paper if you know the answer, and then we'll go through the actual answers once we get to the end. All right, next question. All right, this might be a tricky one. So here's a very zoomed in image of a fairly significant location somewhere in the world. We would love, and I think I say that we as in Mike and I and our combined teams at AHI and Contiki would certainly love to have you see this with your own eyes. in the very near future with us. All right, write down that answer on that piece of paper. We'll go on to the next one. Consumed by men, women, and children as a source of nutrition, the ancient Egyptians were one of the first to make this drink. Anybody know what that one might be? This is a personal favorite of mine, whether I am at home or traveling abroad. All right, anybody have their guesses for what that drink might be that was consumed by men, women, and children in ancient Egypt? All right, let's jump on to our next question or clue. In this amazing destination, there's approximately one bear for every 21 people. This is pretty exciting, especially if you want to see a bear. What destination could you, or would there, or is there approximately one bear for every 21 people? Hopefully you were paying attention to some of the destinations, especially that Mike was talking about on this one. All right, this one might be a little bit tricky. So we're looking for the name of this very famous natural wonder. I'll give a hint. This particular natural wonder is not in North America. All right, now on. Only the Nobel Peace Prize is awarded in this Scandinavian capital. So all of the other Nobel Prizes are awarded in one particular location, except for the Nobel Peace Prize, and it's awarded in one specific Scandinavian capital, and it's the only one that's awarded there. All right, hope everybody's doing great. How about this one? What we're looking for here is either the name of this city or the river that you can see kind of going through it. And I'll give a hint. This river really cuts this city really in half with two very, well, beautiful, but I'll say different, kind of different city vibes on both sides of this river. Definitely get a different feel for the city and the culture of the location, depending on which side of this river and this wonderful, I'll give a hint, European city that you're exploring. All right, I think this is the last question. We couldn't do trivia without throwing in an Anteater reference here. So delicious for man or beast. Peter's wild cousins eat mostly these two types of insects. So name one of the two types of insects. Bonus point if you name both. So our top score of the day will actually have 11 if you get both of the insects that Peter the Anteater prefers in the wild. All right, now let's see how everybody did. We're going to go through our answers. So again, on your sheet of paper, you have everything down there. Just mark off the ones that you got correct, the ones you missed. And as we wrap up, we'll have everyone tally their totals and we'll see how everyone did. So our answers, our first one, type of pasta that directly translates to little worms is vermicelli. I don't know how many of you knew that. I sure didn't. I do like vermicelli. My wife has attempted to explain to me the difference between it and spaghetti, and I'm still struggling with that. I think I need a trip to Italy so I can be educated a little bit on those subtle differences. But vermicelli are your little worms. Who got this one? That's the Eiffel Tower, of course, in Paris. Number 3. Pad Thai became the national dish of Thailand. I love Pad Thai. I love being able to go to Thailand and learn how to make Pad Thai and learn some of this history. The Pad Thai was not ubiquitous with Thailand up until this rice shortage during World War II. So a little bit of interesting and delicious trivia there. Hope everybody took a good guess at this one. That is a very close-up view of the Great Pyramid outside of Cairo. And then what is that delicious drink first consumed by men, women, and children for nutrition? It's one of my favorites. So it's beer. Beer, delicious ancient beer. I don't know if it would taste anything like our current beer, but I'd certainly want to give it a try. Oh, and where can you go? Where there's approximately one bear for every 21 people. Now, I don't think you would see one bear for every 21 people you encounter. You'd have to do some pretty good wilderness hiking and backpacking to get out there where the bears are. But in Alaska, one bear for every 21 people. It's absolutely amazing. And where is this beautiful place? Kudos to everyone who got this one. This is a destination that you can see as part of AHI's South African itinerary, a little trip up north of South Africa so you can view and take in Victoria Falls. So hopefully a few of you got Victoria Falls. And the only Nobel Peace Prize that's awarded, and only the Nobel Peace Prize is awarded in this capital, that would be in Oslo, Norway. All the rest of the Nobels are awarded in Stockholm, Switzerland, except for this one, which is in Oslo, Norway. A little interesting fact there. This picture might help some of you get this one. If you knew it right offhand, good on you. But that is the beautiful Danube River as it transects Budapest. Buda on the, I guess would be the left of your screen, Pest on the right. Of absolutely stunning and gorgeous city. And absolutely, there's the entire feel and environment, and it's different on both sides of the river. It makes it a very cool town and city to explore. And of course, if you got Budapest or the Danube, you'll get that point for that one. And then what are Peter's favorite treats in the wild? Well, those are ants and termites. Remember, if you got both of those, ants and termites, you have bonus points. So everybody tally up your scores. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here so I can see comments and so on. So excellent to everybody. So we'll start with, did anybody get a clean sweep? Anybody get all 11?
Ooh, it looks like
Look at
we
that.
do.
We already have one. Look at that. I've got a confession to make. Did anybody else get 11? I know we've got one comment in there already. Anybody else with 11? Excellent. Wow.
Two.
Fantastic group today. I had a favorite going into this, I have to confess. Obviously, there's no way that I could influence the outcome whatsoever. But our first comment for 11 from Kevin Donahoe, I've got to say how excited I am and why Kevin was my front runner, because my son is actually named Kevin, and this is only the first time in his life, and since we named him, that I've encountered another Kevin. So very cool, and glad to see that you did so well on that one. And another 11. So Linda with 11, Chris with 6. Well done. Leanne, 9. Fantastic. Permaculture, nice. Awesome. 5, the 9. So we got 10. We had another 11 for Elizabeth. And yes, Kevin, I agree. Ireland is a tremendous country and certainly the source of my son's name as well. Well, everybody did fantastic. All right, well, I know Chris can speak more to this, but we're done with the trivia. Good job to everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause for sure. I know that we will get out a few little gift bags out to, I guess, our three 11s, and that's fantastic. You guys did an amazing job. I don't know that I could have gotten 11 on that first go. So kudos to all of you. And I will now turn it back over to Chris and Nora to take us through some of that Q&A.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Thank you for another great round of Anteater travel trivia, and again, providing more inspiration on where we can go in the world. Before we get to the Q&A, we've got some great questions. We have one more poll question we'd like to ask you. So Nora, if you could put that up. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to tee up Mike for what we're seeing in the Q&A. A lot of questions around vaccination. So people want to know, what are vaccination requirements? Does it apply to adult and children? And so while the poll question's coming up, which best sums up your future international travel plans? We've got a lot of responses coming in. Ready but waiting. I hope to travel in 2021, but I'm not sure yet. So it looks like, but we have people that are actually wanting to go pretty quick. So I'm on the next plane and cannot wait. So that's creeping up a little bit. So just a couple more. We've almost got everybody voted. So I might start thinking about the vaccination questions that we have, but people want to know about vaccination requirements for traveling. And Ian, you can jump in as well if you have another perspective on that. So, okay, it looks like we're going to end the polling on this, but predominantly it's ready but waiting. I hope to travel in 2021, but I'm not sure yet. And some of you are, about a quarter of the audience, ready to go. So that's really cool to see. I'm in that group too, even though I didn't vote, but that's my answer. Okay, Mike, let's talk about vaccination requirements for traveling. And then a kind of a parallel question to that came up, does it apply to children? And so if you could get into that, that would be great.
Right. So I'm assuming by vaccination questions, it's will they be required to get into countries, et cetera? It's a difficult question to answer, primarily because no two countries are likely to do things exactly the same. Right now, we only have a couple examples of countries that have opened up for international travel. And I say that beyond countries like Mexico that have been open for quite some time. And you don't need a vaccination to go to Mexico, for example. You just have to have the test before you return into the US. But that's the same for anytime you leave the US and come back, you need to have a COVID test, a negative COVID test within 3 days of returning back to the US. So that's the same for every destination. But in terms of getting into other countries, that's going to vary all over the place. But the ones that we have seen open up to this point are doing it for travelers who can show that they've been vaccinated, or they can show that they have previously had COVID, so that they have the natural antibodies, or some of them also allow, if you've had a test within the 72 hours before arrival that was negative. So I think what we are going to see, or at least if the pattern continues along the same way that it has been for those countries that have opened up to American travelers and others, is that they are going to require proof of vaccination. So I noticed one of the other questions was about the vaccine passport. That is a big gray area right now, because there is no vaccine passport that is universally accepted by all countries. In fact, many countries haven't identified it being as something that they're going to accept at all. They may, but they haven't said that. And there isn't one vaccine passport. Different airlines have come up with their own apps. The Europe is talking about trying to come up with a universal app that would be good in Europe, but none of that has been solidified yet. So all of that is still very gray. It's not black and white. But it is expected at some point that a vaccine passport will be available. Which countries will accept it, which countries will require it, that's all remains to be seen. As far as children go, because here in the US, and we are one of the leaders in the world actually in terms of getting people vaccinated, right now, it's very soon to be open to everybody 16 and above, but that means anybody 15 and under can't be vaccinated. So how is that going to be handled? Again, that's going to be handled differently from country to country. I'm going to use Iceland as an example, because that is a country that's now open, and we have trips to Iceland, and so we know about this. What Iceland has done is they will accept vaccination. However, anybody born 2005 and later, which means they're 15 or younger, do not have to show vaccination and do not have to quarantine as other unvaccinated travelers would be arriving into Iceland, unless they're with parents that have to be quarantined, and then the children have to quarantine with them. So that's how Iceland has dealt with it, but we don't know how that's going to play out for others. So hopefully that answers a lot of the vaccination related questions that existed out there.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Mike. Ian, what do you have anything to add to that?
Just something super simple for everybody. Just always keep in when you're with the AHI or Contiki, do remain in contact, because there are, Mike just went through every possible permutation there could possibly be, and there are going to be a lot of variables. So when you book, when you first start making those plans, stay in touch with your travel provider, stay in touch with AHI Contiki, watch those emails if you get communication from us. Make sure you're paying attention to those things, because what we want to be able to do is keep you as informed as possible as things potentially change and communicate those things out to you. So you definitely want to keep in touch with your travel provider as things continue to adapt and as we continue to move forward closer and closer to whatever your departure day might be.
Yeah, so that actually leads into one of our questions that we got. So for the two of you, Ian, why don't you start first, but how flexible will the trips in 2021 be to the changing COVID conditions?
Absolutely. Well, the flexibility is an important one from the booking point of view. So from a booking standpoint, we absolutely want to have that flexibility and that peace of mind that you can, set your plans and start planning that trip and that departure, but have that flexibility if something changes on your end or in the destination, what have you. As far as adapting to the changes in destination, I think it's probably safe to say that more work on the travel side has been put into what those changes are. From everything that Mike went through in the presentation, some of the things that were touched on in the video, the travel experience will be a little bit different from the social distancing to mask wearing or whatever other requirements are in the destination we're traveling to. Certainly hand washing and the accessibility of hand sanitizer, and as well as the monitoring of everybody's health throughout the course of the trip to make sure that everybody's staying well and healthy. So the well-being adaptations have been put in place across every destination, every departure, and have been true to whether they be the CDC requirements and guidelines or to the requirements for the destination that we're traveling to, making sure that we're in line with that guidance and are able to do those things.
Mike, anything you'd like to add about the flexibility from AHI's perspective?
Just that, international travel requires flexibility, both in terms of the travelers and on the tour operator itself, because there's always unexpected things that can come up, no matter how much advanced planning is done. And in the current environment, flexibility is probably even more critical. So I think you can count on your tour operators maintaining lots of flexibility, and you should expect as travelers to have flexibility as well.
Yeah, good. Thanks. Thanks to you both on that one. All right, here's kind of a softball for the two of you, but our one of the questions is, are spouses of UCI alumni invited to travel with AHI and Contiki? Mike, want to go ahead?
Say absolutely. And you can bring your aunts, uncles, cousins, best friends. It's open to UCI alumni and friends. You don't have to be an alumni to go on the trips.
Good answer.
The more the
okay.
The more the merrier.
Ian, how about you?
The more the merrier.
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
Good. So that was an easy answer. Let's talk about okay. So a specific destination is Italy. What's your perspective on when Italy might open up to travelers from the U.S.?
Well, I think both Ian and I would agree that we hope soon. It is a top destination for U.S. travelers. In fact, for AHI, it's our top selling country every year. There's a real romance for American travelers to Italy. And so we hope it opens up soon. But but it's very, very unpredictable as to when. Really just depends on how well they can get their vaccine rolled out, how well they can get their cases declining. And as we've all seen throughout this pandemic, that's a very unpredictable thing. But we really hope sooner than later, because it's a top country.
Yeah, and actually someone else asked a question about specific destinations like Florence, Tuscany, et cetera. So stay tuned. I think I'm hearing stay tuned.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, it's positive. You know, if you watch the news, Greece, Mike mentioned earlier, Greece planning to reopen with, you know, with proof of vaccine or a negative test. France is looking to reopen by early summer. So positive things are starting to happen, but it is a very much continue to watch this space.
Great, thank you both. And I think the last question we have is on quarantining rules. So are all of the selected places not requiring us to quarantine? I think you know, generally what are quarantining rules, and I know that's evolving as well, right? So,
well, it's evolving, and it also varies from country to country. Even the ones that are open to U.S. travelers now, with the exception of, let's say, a Mexico, for example, if you're vaccinated or have a negative test or can prove that you've had it already, then you can enter without quarantining. However, if you're unvaccinated, haven't had it before, then upon arrival in the country, you have to take a test. Then you have to, this is Iceland I'm using as an example again. Then you have to quarantine for 5 or 6 days and then take a second test. So there are some countries that that you can go to, but you have to quarantine. And so as a tour operator, we look at those countries as being closed, because we can't take people into those countries and then have them sit in their hotel room for the first 5 days, 6 days, 12 days, whatever that country requires. When we say open, it means that there is a means to enter that country and immediately begin their tour if certain things are in place. And vaccination seems to be, those countries that are falling into that category, vaccination seems to be the key.
good, thank you. Anything to add, Ian, on that one?
Just again to stress, you know, use us in our partnership with UC Irvine, use AHI and Contiki. You know, we're filtering through all of those requirements and inter-requirements and what trips can run, where are restrictions at. Certainly, I would not envy anybody having to search through that if they were trying to plan something on their own. So use the relationship that we forged with UC Irvine. Use us to have that information, even as it's changing. You know, definitely take what we can provide, not only for the trip itself, but in all the planning and getting you ready to travel.
Great answer, thank you. One question came in late here, but maybe we can just quickly answer this. Do participants need to fly with the group? In other words, do they all have to fly together? I think that's what the question is.
On the AHI tours, no. It used to be that way more back in my early days of being in the travel business, but not anymore. And when it comes to air, AHI has an air department. You can book air through us, but if you choose to book your own air, that's completely fine too. And even if you book your air with us, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to book everybody together on the same flight, because we want people to get from point A to point B in the most convenient way and at the best airfare possible. And so we won't be forcing because people come from all over the country, we won't be forcing everybody together on the same flight, no.
Same.
Okay.
Same. Easy answer.
Well, thank you both. We are at beyond the top of the hour, so I want to thank the two of you again for your inspiration, your insightfulness, updating our audience today on what's going on with travel and giving everybody at least a glimpse of hope that things are getting better and we're all going to be on planes soon. So to our audience, thank you for participating today. Please do watch this. Again, this is the third in a series of travel workshops that we're doing. And so there are going to be more of these. So please keep an eye out on our alumni events page, and also feel free to directly access the AHI link and the Contiki links that we provided. So again, thanks everybody. Have a great day. Hope to see you on a future webinar. Take care.